What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So somehow yesterday, just online, and boom, Switch 2 stuff starts coming up again. Next gen Switch. We're gonna go over what's happening here because somehow we're back in the conversation of Nintendo's next system without hearing from Nintendo. I'll explain to you where all this is coming from. Also, Analogue is back, specifically with the Analogue Pocket. We know when we can pre-order it now, how much everything's gonna cost, and all of the accessories, and when it's coming out. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a little longer than we had originally thought. Also, we had some leaked images for the PlayStation 5 where it's being put together in the factory, and it looks like there might be a possibility of some serious customization, we'll say, with this system. As always, guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're gonna start today with that Nintendo leak once again. It's been dubbed the Giga Leak, and we've of course seen a ton of stuff come out from this. A lot of prototypes, source code, documentation, even full-on like uncompressed audio. It's pretty crazy. And again, more and more things are coming out. Like this, for example, this was posted up on Reddit. And what's interesting about this, it almost looks like Nintendo was trying to turn the Super Nintendo Entertainment System into, as they say, a full-blown computer. After further investigation, they've revealed what looks to be a pretty fleshed-out version of DOS for the Super Nintendo, with code for a floppy disk controller, parallel and serial ports, keyboard, reading DOS formatted floppy disk, and more. This was posted up by Sony Jimpin over on Reddit, and it is interesting to think that could Nintendo have really taken the Super Nintendo and done a lot more with it, where you could load up programs, they could have a floppy disk drive that you pop these disks into, maybe create basic programs on it yourself, even with a keyboard? They were, of course, thinking about more and more online connectivity, as they had already kind of done that with the Famicom. They definitely did it with the Nintendo 64, where you could get like full emails and all of that. And the Super Nintendo did have the Satellaview in Japan, but we didn't really have much here to use with that port on the bottom, like at all. I mean, the exercise bike, but once again, all that stuff was kind of in Japan. It's kind of fun to think about what could have been if the Super Nintendo had turned into a little mini computer. Oh, and there is apparently some sort of announcement happening later on today for Summer Games Fest, and it does seem to deal with an indie studio, as they say their favorite indie studio, according to Jeff Keighley. Well, it looks like that surprise may have accidentally leaked online. You can see the image here, and yes, that appears to be Cuphead on the PlayStation Network store. Gamatsu had the story here and was able to confirm that it did actually appear under the What's Hot section. So Cuphead on PlayStation? I mean, look, Cuphead's been moved around. Of course, it's on the Switch and runs very, very well in there. Studio MDHR did a very good job overall moving that over, getting it done, the port and everything, and Microsoft's been pretty open to it, so I'm not really surprised. Now, look, most of us have probably played Cuphead if we wanted to, but there's always a possibility that there is even more of an audience they can reach, and the game's good. So, like, yeah, why not? Although, I am curious what's going on with the DLC and all of that, but, I mean, most likely you're going to see it announced later on today, but we'll keep our eyes out for that one. Summer Games Fest should have the announcement just a couple of hours after this video goes up. Also, we do have our PlayStation Plus games for August. Well, one of them is actually out today, and that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. That's pretty good. I mean, that's still a fairly recent game. I mean, it's just the campaign, obviously, so I think that's why some people kind of skipped it, because the multiplayer for Modern Warfare 2 was a ton of fun back in the day. But here we are, of course, with the campaign now on PlayStation Plus starting today. That's right, if you have your PlayStation membership up to date, you could just go download it. It'll be available till the end of this month. And then the other game is Fall Guys. And I've been looking at this. People have been playing it, posting it up on Twitter. That one will be available August 4th. And I think I'm going to download this one on PlayStation Plus and check it out. It's cool to see it, I guess, just launch on PlayStation Plus like that. Maybe Sony will continue to pull in smaller indie games that are still right around release to kind of give them more promotion. We've heard it's worked well for different indie studios on Game Pass, and most times they get a nice check out of it too. So, hey, good to see Fall Guys there. Maybe they'll get some exposure, and I mean, Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered, might as well go ahead and claim it on PlayStation Plus. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start right away with this next generation Nintendo Switch talk, the Switch 2. Now, we did have that spiritual successor to Suikoden announced, Ayuden, and for the most part, it looks pretty good, right? People are pretty excited for it. It's already hit its funding goal to just happen, and it appears to be hitting its stretch goals very, very rapidly as well, which will push it to consoles now too. There's even going to be a beta for people to try out eventually on the PC. So at least so far, so good for them when it comes to crowdfunding. I'm not too surprised that this would get funded as people were pretty hyped up for it. So hey, here's hoping everything is smooth in development. Usually it's not with Kickstarters, but hey, you never know. Maybe this one just is very, very straightforward. Fingers crossed. Here's hoping on that one. But there were some odd things said kind of further down when they start talking about different platforms that they will be putting this game on. And I am scratching my head a little bit at some of this, but let's go over it. We can actually check out this passage here that is on their Kickstarter. It does say, for this campaign, the launch timing will most likely put us right in the middle of a console transition period, meaning that some people will own next-gen consoles and some will not. This is less than ideal when trying to run a Kickstarter campaign that you want to cater to the maximum number of people. We need to determine a single quality baseline for the game. Currently, we are offering Ayuden on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo's next generation console. The elephant in the room is that while nobody knows what Nintendo's plans are for when this game releases, in just about every major Japanese game crowdfunding campaign, when a lower spec hardware has been listed on the campaign, it was invariably been too expensive, oftentimes requiring downgrading textures, massive amounts of code rewrites, effectively meaning building two games. Okay, so looking at this, they're saying obviously they want to hit the maximum number of potential customers that they can, right? I mean, that makes sense. But this game probably won't be out, as they say, until 2022, 2023, mostly at the latest. So they're basically just getting started right now. And yes, they would probably have to build out a separate version for the Switch, but you gotta kind of come back to this. It's being built on Unity. We've seen Unity games have some struggles, but then get fixed and eventually come out. Yooka-Laylee ran into this issue, and they had to do quite a bit alongside of Unity when it was getting updates for things to work out, but they made it work on the Switch. And looking at this game, it makes perfect sense on the Switch, doesn't it? I look at it and I go, I mean, that's a good looking game for what it's trying to do, but it doesn't look, to me, more ambitious than something like Yooka-Laylee, which is a full 3D world, open world style game, kind of, right? But for the most part, I look at this and I look at Octopath Traveler, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, they're kind of the same. I don't know. I don't see this as something where they would say, oh, by 2023, there could be almost 100 million Switch systems out there. It's very possible, by the way, with some of the lineup coming up that we know of course, Breath of the Wild 2, we assume another Mario game, Metroid Prime 4. Things start to add up, Bayonetta 3. And it's strange that they say, oh, next-gen Nintendo system. It's weird that they wouldn't just say, you know what, there are a lot of people, especially in Japan, by then, the Switch may be over 20 million. Seems weird to me that they would want to do that, but they have named technically the next generation Switch, as they say, no one knows. But this did spark a lot of conversation online, and it seems to happen whenever the next gen system for Nintendo is mentioned in some way, whether it's the possibility of it, what could be in the system, any of that, when might Nintendo release it. But when you see a potential developer start to talk about it, it does get a bit more real for people, like, oh yeah, I guess this game probably won't be done development until the next Nintendo system is out. To me, though, it seems strange. You just work to target the current Switch now. The next Switch will probably be backwards compatible. Will it be hard to do? Maybe. It depends. I mean, really, I know it's Kickstarter and they probably want to deliver it, but you would probably find success that would at least make sense in terms of what they're doing here. But again, I just said it, it's Kickstarter. They might as well make sure the game actually gets out there first. And then, hey, maybe after it's out there and they're seeing sales and things are working out, maybe they find a porting company and say, you know what? All right, let's move it to the Switch, and it'll, of course, work on the next generation Switch as well. Nintendo has talked about a 7 to 8 year lifespan for the current system that we know of as the Switch, so there's a chance that even when this game comes out in 2023, the current Switch could still have another 2 years to go. It's very possible, but yeah, strange to see next generation Switch talk come down to a Kickstarter just saying, oh yeah, we might be able to get on the next gen Switch. Depends on what it is. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 and the possibility of customizing that outer shell. Now, we know, of course, two-tone design. It's white shells on the outside. It has that kind of that black interior and then the blue light going around it, which the more I've looked at it, the more it's grown on me. Like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, whew, that is quite bold right there to go that direction, but they've stuck with it, right? Even all the accessories kind of go alongside of it, sure. And the one question people have had is, can you take those side panels off? Because they do look like they are almost separate from the system. If you really sit down and look at it, yeah, it almost looks like that center part is the main system, that center black part, and then the two white shells would be able to pop off of it. Well, check this out. These are images that appeared on a forum. Warrior64 managed to kind of compile them together. We can go through a few of them here, but the big ones are really the images that show the backing of that plastic. And you can see they almost have like these spikes kind of coming off of the side and angling in a certain direction, which could mean that it is set up to lock in a certain way. And that is, of course, having people very hopeful that maybe when you get your PlayStation 5, you can just slide these off and maybe slide new ones on. Now, I will point out the PlayStation 4, you could already do that technically on one side, right? You can pop the side off of it, and then that's where you would be able to change your hard drive, and then you'd be able to pop it on. It was pretty easy. You didn't really need much to do it, but Sony really didn't take advantage of that. Honestly, when I saw that, I figured they would have just lined the store shelves with all different colors and designs for their different IPs, you know. That never happened. It didn't get to that point at all. People would, of course, take them off, they'd sand them down, they'd paint them and put them back on, and that was pretty neat. But it wasn't like the Xbox 360 with its faceplate. What this reminds me of right here is the PlayStation 3 and its cover. So on the top, it has a lid that does come off. You have to take one screw off, and then it slides and lift up. I don't think Sony is going to do that, really. I think they'll just work on special edition systems. I kind of see this as just being part of the assembly process, and there's a lot of hope that, oh, Sony's just gonna start selling pieces. I don't really think so, unfortunately. I might go over this more in a video later on in the second channel. We'll see, where I really look at the images and I try to explain to you a bit more, maybe with some markings and drawings and stuff, so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. But to me, I just see a system that's getting put together, and it looks like it has interlocking pieces to save on screws. Next up, let's talk about the Analogue Pocket. I told you guys we'd probably find something out yesterday, and we did. It had been a long time. We heard about it in October of last year, then it kind of disappeared. Finally, though, we know when we can pre-order, we know the pricing, and unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to be shipping until May of 2021. I was kind of hopeful that it would come out by the end of this year, but there's been some situations, obviously, with COVID, manufacturing, factories kind of all over the place right now, and at least to me, I can say, okay, sure, like a 6-month delay, I at least am understanding. But let's go through some of the offerings here, because this page all of a sudden got popular with a lot of stuff to buy. So let's take a look here. It looks like we do have two different variants of the system. You can see we have a white and black model for the Analogue Pocket, both of which look super, super clean, by the way. The system will be $200. That's around what I said it would be, so that's not a surprise to me at all. I also figured the dock would be $100. It appears to also be that price. So far, so good for me. I seem to have predicted the pricing pretty much across the board there. I do want to point out that the Analogue Pocket system appears to just come with a USB-C cable. If you would like to buy the power supply or the brick from them for charging it, it would be $20 extra. It looks like it's just a standard USB-C though, so you should be able to find one, or you may already have one based on like your phone, for example, but they do at least have it there at $20, which for a USB-C fast charging quality power supply, we'll say it's actually about right. That's about market value for something like that. They, of course, have their tempered glass screen protector. I do like the hard case. That's a fun idea. It's just literally a hard plastic shell that goes around it. You can unclip, so you can carry it around with you, which is fine. And then we get down to the different adapters. So I talked to you guys about this before. Plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, but then you can use adapters. They appear to be $30 each. So we have a Neo Geo Pocket Color adapter, Game Gear adapter, and Atari Lynx adapter, which is, I mean, just a ton of functionality for this system. And of course, you can also do all kinds of development, some really cool stuff. They have plenty of cables for that. And they also have the pocket-to-pocket link cable. So yes, you can use games that need that link cable, there you go. You can pick one of those up as well. A lot of stuff to check out here. I would go over there immediately, kind of scout out if there's anything you want to pick up. Like I said, pre-order is going to be happening pretty soon, starting next week. So kind of get everything figured out there, decide what you want, because I do think these are going to go fast, but looking at this, it's about what I expected for pricing. Again, the power brick being left out, that one's caught me a little off guard there, but hey, not bad overall. I'm gonna be picking up at least one of these, trying to decide if I'm gonna go with the white or black model, but we'll find out. I'm definitely pre-ordering one though next week, and yeah, we'll open one up for fun, why not? And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Halo Infinite again, but this time, we have some good news. Look, Domino's already went after him, okay? We gotta get some at least good news going for Halo Infinite here, because this has been getting beaten down online. So let's take a look at a positive for the game. Split screen's coming back. This is great news, right? If you played Halo 5, you probably started up and said, what happened to split screen? I don't get it, this isn't Halo. I agree with you. And it looks like 343 does as well. As you can see here on Twitter, it says, hey everyone, I saw some reports of campaigns supporting 4-player split screen for campaign. I just want to correct, Halo Infinite will be supporting 2-player split screen and 4-player online co-op for campaign. Sorry about the confusion. That's from Jerry Hook, head of design at 343. We aren't really sure. There are kind of rumors and speculation going around, some reports, but there we go. We now have it straight up from 343 themselves. Split screen on the same co-op on screen for the campaign, 4-player online, and this is supposed to be kind of like an open world. It sounds like you're gonna have different areas that you go to, but then they're big and they're open and vast, and that could be a lot of fun. I know everyone's really focused on the visuals of Halo Infinite, but to hear that split screen is back, that is great news, because that is one of the weirdest omissions, I think, from Halo 5. I mean, really, Halo's always been about, look, you want to come over, we can fire up the Xbox, even the original Xbox, and we can cut it into 4 screens, because why not? And we did it even back in the day with like 25, 26-inch TVs, right? It was a big deal when we got the 32-inch out, okay? So good to see this is there. Just it kind of in a pinch, if you're like, oh, let's go ahead and play online together, or let's go ahead and play some campaign, we just split the screen and we can go. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from War Draven saying, but the gameplay of Halo Infinite we seen was supposed to be shown at E3, so it's 4 months old. Okay, so this is, again, something else going around right now, that gameplay was going to be shown towards the beginning of June. Instead, we get it towards the end of July. And still, though, I kind of look at that and you figure, oh, maybe they could take a little more time to reevaluate the demo. No, it seems like they for the most part, stuck with that demo. And then they showed a demo behind closed doors that looked better. And look, you only get one first impression for a game, especially when you dive into gameplay like that, and they kind of missed. Swing and a miss on that one, right? Sure, they can still release a really good-looking game this holiday, and I'm hoping they do, because I'm going to be on it immediately, but again, it was a weird slice of gameplay to do. I wouldn't have, why would you even do that demo in the first place? There are probably better areas of the game you could pick out, and, oh, you don't want to spoil it? Well, that's halfway through the game anyway. I don't know. It seems strange to me. And if they didn't even have time to maybe change up or fix up that demo, maybe just make it look a little better, where's the confidence for when they launch? I don't want to say it, but there is some concern for me that this could turn out like the Master Chief Collection, where it launches in pretty poor shape, but I'm really hoping I'm wrong on that one. So we'll see. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Ayuden targeting the next Switch, not this Switch, the next Switch. Interesting stuff there. What do you think? 2023 launch, does that make sense for the next Switch, as they're kind of sizing it up right now? Also, what about those PlayStation 5 images that are coming out from the factory? Do you think Sony will plan to have those sides kind of like faceplates from the 360, where you'll slide them off and they'll pop off and you can put new ones on? It'd be great for us, but I feel like Sony would want to sell all kinds of cool special editions down the road instead. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.